Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to have you joining us today. Another session of agent-led training where I look out for top producing agents. And, well, I kind of pull them out of their busy lifestyle, their busy world, and just sit down and have a quick little discussion about them. Now, success is something that we all want to achieve. And before the session, I was actually sitting down and thinking to myself, success. How would I explain success to a 5 or 6-year-old? And that was like, well, why would you want to do that? Well, going through this process of writing a book, it appears that if you can write a book, not a 5, 6-year-old, a 5 or 6 grade, when you're in the grade 5 or 6, if you write a book to that particular level, it's actually quite enjoyable to read. So how would I explain this to somebody at that level? Well, success for me is like a chocolate cake. We just love eating the chocolate cake. It's fantastic. But there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of hours that goes into perfecting it. And when we start talking with our cap agents and our icon agents, their journey is like making a chocolate cake. It's not something where they just bought the box and threw everything together. They perfected the art. They mastered all of those little tasks, those little activities to get where they are today. And it's the journey that actually makes them to who they are today. So joining me today, and I know that was quite a long intro, but I'm dying for some chocolate cake. And that's why I thought I'd just bring all that up. Joining me today is someone who's definitely put the right foot forward. I can tell you that. It's Marius Foot. Marius, how are you doing today?
Hey, Stuart. Good. And you? Nice to be here.
No, I'm always good, always good. So tell me about Marius. Where has Marius been in this world? And you haven't always been in real estate. Tell us this journey that Marius has taken from before real estate and this journey that's got you to where you are right now.
I started working very, very early in my life. I think I had to not disclose my age when I started my first job. and that was quite a journey for me, but being it's obviously something that I was born being driven and having that passion for work. I started a funny career at doing dubbing for the SABC at the age of 15. My mother still had to drive me into Sea Point to the SABC offices, and I did some dubbing work there for SABC. And then later on, I started doing some advertising work part-time. This was also being in school with very good sportsmen with rugby and athletics. I did a lot of drama work as well, advertising, and then I moved on to playing in a TV series called Mulanders that was filmed up in the West Coast here in South Africa, in Cape Town side, which was a very good experience, and that sort of led me on to straight after school where I was still busy with that. And then I decided, it's time to actually go and get a real job. And then I started working at a travel agency where I was a PR. And then I moved up to Joburg, where I ended up joining the insurance industry as a salesperson on that side. Did very well on that, and decided Joburg is not the place for me. So I moved back down to Cape Town, started a few things, being an entrepreneur on the side. I grew quite a business for myself, doing some post-building work on maintenance on building sites for developers. So then at 2002 already, I started dealing in property with the developers. And then one day I just decided, with Steph and myself, we went to see a local estate agent. And then 9 years ago, we said, well, let's try this industry. And we've never looked back. We thought it's going to be a part-time job, but real estate is not a part-time job at all.
Definitely not a part-time job. But one thing that's actually amazing, and it's one of the reasons why I actually shave from chin to back of my neck, is to hide our age. Still 21, by the way. But one thing that's absolutely key that stood out was starting at the age of 15. This is almost something that, was there a burning desire to start, or was it mom saying, Marius, you're going to go to work. You need to pay half the bond, and I'm driving you there and forcing you to do it? Was it something that you wanted to do, or was it something that was forced on you?
No, that's something I did. when I was mowing our lawn, I actually went to the neighbors, and that was even before the age of 15. And I said, let me mow your lawn, and you can pay me X amount for that. So it started actually a bit earlier, and it was just self-driven thing. I remember one school holiday, my mom was saying, where are you going? I said, I'm going to work. She said, what? Where are you working?
So this is definitely something that I'm finding with a lot of top producing people out there, is this early drive and desire to be self-sufficient, to be that entrepreneur that has that almost that vision to see opportunities out there. But on the flip side of it, I know there's a lot of people that said, but hey, straight after school, my parents said I must go to university. From university, I got a job that was just a natural internship, and my life was almost controlled for me as I go. Can I become an icon agent? Can I become a top producing entrepreneur? And the simple answer is yes. It is something that each and every one of you can actually do. Now, Marius, if you look over, and let's say it's the last 10 years, from 15 till today, over the last couple of years, you've got that self-drive. Why? Why is that self-drive inside of you to achieve these little levels of success, these levels of opportunity? What is that drive inside of you that gets you up in the morning?
First of all, if I wake up, I must get up. I cannot lie in a bed. And that's been always, even if I go running or what it is that I'm doing, I always open up, get up, go and make a cup of coffee, and I start my day. I don't start my day by looking onto my phone, seeing what's happening on social media, what's on my WhatsApps. I actually get up, make a cup of coffee, take the dogs out, and go and walk in the garden, and just have a nice relaxed morning. Get up and come back into the house, then make a cup of coffee. Sometimes I glare to the phone and say, am I ready for this? And say, no. Then I go and get ready for the day. And when I'm ready, at 7:30, I'm up, and then then my phone can be switched on, and then I'm ready to work. So first of all, I focus on what I need to do, so to get myself ready for the day. And when I'm ready to be taking on whatever the day brings to me. And if there's nothing to do, I've got a motto: if I'm not working, I must work at it.
Absolutely. And one thing I love about that is you're actually a human being. You're not somebody that is just straight to the grindstone. Got to work, got to work, got to work. You're actually having fun. And something that I took out of this is you're actually in control. You getting up and saying, I'm going to get out of bed. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I'm going to take the dogs. And the dogs are coming into this conversation, by the way. I'm going to take them for a walk. And this is like a big part of any entrepreneur, is they are in control. So let's turn the narrative slightly and focus towards real estate. You said 9 years ago, got into this industry to actually say, hey, let's go for it, thinking it's a part-time business. And you got to realize that it's a full-time business for yourself. So going through your journey in real estate, what was it that gave you that little tick box to say, you know what, eXp is the brand of choice for yourself? What was that transitional decision-making for you?
Going into a new industry and starting a new industry, you must get used to it, adapt to it, and listen to what everyone else is telling you, because they are mentoring you for that industry. And coming from a self-employed environment where I've always been working for myself, I was self-driven with regards to what work needs to be done and how to market myself, and coming from a sales point of view, that is something that you take and you say, okay, this is what I want to do, because this is who I am, and this is how I want people to see myself out there. And being confined in a box really limits yourself to what your strengths are. So being part of a franchise where I was previously, I enjoyed it. It was very good school money that I had to pay to get used to the industry. And it also trained me with the regards to the values that you have to have within this industry that we have. But I've picked up something that I felt I'm in a box and I'm hitting my head on the top and on the sides, and I want to grow, and there's no space to grow. And eXp gave me that opportunity. When I heard about the setup and how the whole eXp system works, the fact that we've got our our time is ours. We don't have office time. You don't have someone telling you what to do and how to do it. So I can go out, be myself, and market myself as I want to, under the eXp umbrella, of course. So the fact that financially there's a big advantage with regards to the different splits in the commission and the different revenues of income stream that you get from all the other parties that's involved, where I didn't have that previously. And that more than tripled my commission that I earned at a franchise. I did the model explain the other day, and some figures on an Excel sheet for another agent at a franchise. And I looked at it and I said, I still cannot believe how I was working for these figures. And that's just basic commission, not even the other income streams that we're looking at, which is financially, it makes a huge difference coming over to eXp from the typical franchise model.
Absolutely. And it's, what you've just shared with me, I've heard so many times. Franchise models definitely have their place. The bricks and mortar definitely have their place. It is there for those individuals that need the guidance, that need that control element to get them into that structure. But once you're into that entrepreneurial structure, the structure that allows you to have what we like to call freedom. And yep, we can always think Mel Gibson standing at the top of the hill, painted blue and white, lifting up the kilt and saying freedom. Yes, exactly that. Freedom is really what we are all wanting when we're going through there. And that's what the model gives us. It takes down those boxes, removes the roof. And now, that ceiling is only your own limiting belief that you can actually then start to push through it. Now, you've gone on this journey, and you haven't gone on the journey by yourself. Barring the puppies, there's Steph. How has Steph helped you through this particular journey, the support structure that the two of you work together? Because it's something that for a lot of individuals, when you're working with a partner, there's always challenges of work and fun, challenges of boundaries. How does Steph and yourself actually work together to actually help this business in growing forward?
I must say we're very fortunate that living together, working together, playing together, everything together, that we actually, there's no issues with that. And we don't find that someone is invading the other one's space, because we embrace that. And we love spending time with each other, which is really fantastic. But early on in the real estate industry, we picked up that, I'm chatting with a client, but the client is more entitled to Steph's type of personality, and where Steph has got something that they are interested in, and Steph connects to that client. Then I step back and I will take on my type of role, which will most probably be the admin, and Steph can do the talking and talk about the flowers and the birds and whatever needs to be done. And I can come down to business and I talk about business, because that's the different type of personalities that we've got. And that actually involves, when you are two people going into an appointment, there's actually that third person, which is the combination of the two of you that comes out as well. So I always say two is better, and teamwork is also better. And I felt that if there was a situation and there was a client that I couldn't deal with, I'm struggling with, Steph automatically steps in, he takes over, and he sort of fulfills that part, and I'm stepping a little bit back, but I'm still in the conversation, in what is happening with the deal, but he's taking over, which is a fantastic advantage. And even if I have something that I need to attend to or that I need to do, there's always someone that's available, either him or myself, to be able to connect to the clients, which is important. So it's a fact that if you have something to do, there's always someone else to back you.
And that's important when you're going into team structures, is you're actually acting as one. And that is so, so key. I've seen a lot of teams that go out there where the two team members are, I want to say, the exact same personality. And it doesn't actually work, because they're both trying to control the situation, but you actually complement each other. But you said that, the two come together to create the third. But then there's the puppies. And I have to bring this into it, because I know that your dogs are so important. And how is your real estate business getting to such a point where the puppies don't always come into the picture, or do they always come into conversations with clients?
It's a great conversation starter. You have to relate to clients with regards to, you walk into the house, you relate to the kids. I don't have kids, I've got puppies, so I can relate to my puppies. And if they've got pets, I can relate to the pets. So there's always something that you can relate to. But the dogs are always there. They used to come with me to the office. When I had office duties in the franchise, they would come along. And it also gives you that break. I was lying on the grass the other day in the backyard, and I was playing with the pups. We've got 2 new pups, and they're 13 weeks old. And I was lying on the grass, and my phone was inside. And this is my hour that I spent with them, because they have to have time outside. And I was saying, where else do you have that advantage to be able to take an hour off, go and lie on the grass in your backyard and actually just enjoy the fresh air and the plants and the environment that you're in with? So there's a little bit coming back to, and I think you will touch on it maybe a bit later with regards to time management. I have to put time aside to make sure that what I'm doing, if I'm focused on work, and you've picked it up also earlier on when I'm doing my coffee and I'm getting up, I'm getting myself ready. So taking an hour out of the day, sitting in the garden, enjoying the birds and sunshine. It might be something else for someone else, reading a book or whatever that may be. But to take time out, step outside of the work environment, relax, regain your energy, that you can go back and focus on your work and have that energy to be able to focus and to continue working, because it's important to take time off. And that's what the dogs also do over weekends, because then I take them to the beach and I take them away over weekends with us, and it gives us that break, which is fantastic.
And I love that. They become talking points, going into an appointment with 2 little puppies with you and saying, well, here's the conversations. It breaks the ice. And, and I think it's so important. So too many of us, when we go into the business environment, we forget about the little things. And that's why I brought up the puppies, because for some people they'll say, oh, it's a puppy. It's just no, it's not. It's the little things that actually creates a why. It's a why. It's a reason to actually do what you do, to take a break. If you didn't have the puppies, well, the chances are that 1 hour break wouldn't have been on the grass. It wouldn't have been listening to the birds. It probably would have just been standing outside, having a quick cup of coffee, and then going straight back into the office. On the weekends, well, the walk on the beach, you know what, that client, maybe I go. The reasons, the purpose becomes so important. And I also like the fact that it actually becomes an icebreaker. I teach this often. The icebreakers with a new client, we use a method called the Ford method, which starts with family. Family is such an important part to break the barriers, because we all have them. We weren't just brought out of a petri dish. We've all got the family. And whether we look at and I've got cats and I've also got dogs, and I regard them as family as well, this becomes the conversation, the icebreaker that actually shows that you're the authentic human. Now, you touched on, and you're 100% correct, because I want to segue into a little bit of time management. And one of the big things here is productivity. You've got to remain busy all the time. You cannot suddenly go, you know what, there's a great Netflix show, let me just go and binge watch all of that for the next 4 days. You've got to remain productive all the time. So how do you keep that energy as high as you keep yours, to make sure that you are consistent with all the activities, even if the activities you just don't feel like doing it? How do you keep that energy up?
Definitely a bit of time management that you have to put your schedules in. And time management also applies to taking time off and making sure that you do get recharged. What I've done, I've actually put my phone on a sleep mode about 3 years ago, where I actually put my phone, it goes onto a sleep mode at 7 o'clock in the evening, and my phone wakes up at 7:30 in the morning. Because that's my time off. I do get clients sending messages at 2 o'clock in the morning, believe it or not, and at 5 o'clock, and I'm not ready to deal with them. And the last thing I want is to be interrupted in sleep with these messages coming through. They most probably trying to be not wake me up, but at the end of the day it does. And So my phone goes on to sleep. My phone goes into the kitchen on charge. And I say, that is my time. And it's very, very important. My time is precious for me. And I won't ever have time to replace time that I spend with myself and my family and my dogs and with Steph. So it's important to put that time aside. Getting up in the morning, doing the jobs that needs to be done. First of all, I've in summer, I do get up a bit early and I do check my emails first before 8 o'clock starts, because when 8 o'clock starts, it's the phone that's ringing. And then just correspond with the clients, make sure, get the feedbacks up and running, check if the bonds have been approved, check if the compliance certificates have been booked, is the certificates there, is everything on track, it needs to be tracked. And obviously at least once a week, check in with your clients to make sure that everything is running smooth, giving them an update. I know once a week that it sounds maybe a lot, but I think we speak to 4 or 5 times a day or a week with our clients to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And they also want to be secure with regards to what is going on a transaction and keep them updated. But it's just keeping everything on track and making sure that you've got a routine every day, and just keep on watering that plant until it blooms.
Absolutely. I love that. Watering the plant until it blooms. And, this whole process that you're actually going through, it's a lot of administrative work, and it's a lot of areas where agents tend to go, do I really need to speak to my client this week? I haven't had any inquiries on the property or anything like that, but you can see the importance of this continual communication through it. Now, going through this particular journey with you, and thank you for sharing so much of your insights. If you had to take on a little mentee, and I want to say a little, someone who's a rookie in the actual industry, and you had to pass over some words of wisdom to help them in their particular journey, what would be, let's call it 3 tips that you would be able to share with this new agent that they can definitely implement from today going forward in their business? What would that be?
First of all, it's important to get the right mentor. Someone that can assist you through the guidance and help you, because there's a lot of people that's joining the industry and they say, oh, I'm just joining the industry, and it doesn't matter with whom. And even if you're joining within a company, make sure that you join with a team that can give you the support that you need. For a mentor, and we've mentored quite a few, it is just to make sure that you've got your systems in place. Make sure to listen to people in the industry. Educate yourself, obviously. Education, you can never stop educating yourself. I do that on a continuous basis. I've never stopped learning. So make sure that you educate yourself, even if it's in the industry that you're working, the environment that you're working on. For instance, in what residential area are you working? What is your neighborhood that you're working on? Educate yourself with what is happening, because you need to educate your potential client that's asking you what schools are in the area, what's the school fees in the area, voting day, where's the voting stations, what day is the bin day? And those are things that you need to educate yourself on. So make sure to educate yourself, make sure to have your routines in place. As I said earlier on, check in with your clients, doing your canvassing, doing your marketing, and also doing market research, because markets are changing. And we've gone through a change with regards to printed media, where it's now social media. So make sure that you keep up with times and you do that research as well to make sure that you're staying on top of things, because you cannot get left behind with technology and what's happening out there. It doesn't help you want to go and print flyers, and we're sitting in the middle of COVID and you cannot hand out your flyers. You have to be innovative with what you do. Innovative, marketing, education. Absolutely. That would definitely be 3 major points to look at.
Absolutely. And all 3 of those are something that you can actually implement right away, which is so important. So from an early cup of coffee in the morning, taking you through a journey, which is manual, administrative, but it's in control. There's a purpose and there's a reason. Going through to appointments with puppies that starts and breaks the ice, to have a conversation, to actually working in a team with Steph, that just shows how the collaboration between 2 agents can support each other when they're going into an appointment. Each one of them has a strength with that particular client, and they are the lead with that particular client. Going right through to education, making sure that you know everything, not only about real estate, but the environment. schools, fees, and I love the dustbin day. It's the one that catches most agents out because when you move into a house, there is a lot of stuff that's got to go out. So making sure when you know all of that, going through this entire process, making sure your systems are in place, being consistent throughout the actual day. But the one big key, the biggest takeaway that I've actually got from Marius today is not only just being in control, but it's actually being in control when you say it's my time. Putting your phone on sleep, 7:30 or 7 p.m. at night, and it comes back on again at 7:30 in the morning. That gives you that time to actually be human, that time to spend time with your family, where both Steph and Marius have the puppies, and I'm sure that those are the ones that are keeping you up at night sometimes. This is the reason why we do it. It's to make sure that we're living a life by design that we're in control of. And Marius, you and Steph are definitely the icons that agents look up to because you're actually doing it. And it's not complicated. It's just that entrepreneurial spirit that you've actually got inside of you that has actually helped to push it a little bit further, but every single person can do it. So Marius, from yourself, and again, I want to thank you so much for your time because your time is extremely precious. We know how busy you are. Any final thoughts, words, or comments that you'd like to share as we close off on the session?
Just keep on doing what you're doing. You'll reap the rewards. If you just make sure that you're doing the right thing. Leave that Netflix movie until tonight after 7.
Absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing because it's that consistency that's going to get you going through as you're going out. So from myself, Stuart, I want to thank Marius for coming into this particular session. This is the agent-led training. This is a session whereby I actually look out for top agents to see how they actually do it, to pull the curtain back, to actually reveal that they're not a robot. They're actually a human being. And it's the human being inside of them that's created the success. It's the human being inside of them that's actually, well, almost the same as you. You can also do that. So I want to thank all of you for coming. Look out for future sessions with more icon and cap agents to see how they do it in their particular business. So from myself, Stuart, it's been fantastic.